Welcome to Cantina, Jargon.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Cantina Jargon. This is our second episode of the podcast. I am Joe with Jargon, joined by Caden from Cantina Talk, and we are going to talk Ahsoka episodes 1 and 2, which premiered on Tuesday. Caden, let me get your initial thoughts, because we haven't really talked about this at all, so I'd love to know what you're thinking of the show so far.
So, I gotta say, I definitely I don't want to like overhype it, but I think honestly these first two episodes were entirely better than all of Mando season 3, in my opinion. Minus maybe like the finale. Like it was like, damn, this actually feels like Star Wars.
I agree. Better than episodes 1 through 6. 7 and 8 of season 3 were great.
Easily.
But yeah, easily better than 1 through 6. What did you think of the opening scene in the crawl? We got a crawl finally.
For some reason, to me, it was like screaming Old Republic and like Knights of the Old Republic. I was like, this feels like George Lucas Star Wars.
Yeah.
Even though it's not like the normal like big crawl, I was like, damn, like, all right, this feels like a space opera from the 70s, and I'm so for it.
Yeah. Oh, I feel exactly the same way, and I actually like that they didn't do the standard crawl, like the big, yellow one. I think.
Yeah.
I think this kind of allowed it to like differentiate itself from the movies, which is good. But
it
man,
almost felt like Flash Gordon.
Yeah, right. Like, God, it's just like it's classic space opera, and the opening scene I thought was probably my favorite scene of the two episodes. Just them boarding the New Republic ship, and
just
Baylan and Shen,
hearing Baylan's theme as he's just going through the hallway, and just like the entire sounds of the hallway, and just like I don't know if it was just like the drums or the score alone. Kevin Kiner. I mean, I love Ludwig Göransson, but I think Kevin Kiner should be doing all of Star Wars from now on.
Yeah,
it almost sounded like too like he took like Vader's like Imperial March and changed it to like to fit Baylan's.
Yeah, you could hear like some really familiar sounds throughout the score but they'd be changed a little bit. So I agree completely. I turned to my wife at one point and said, this is the most Star Wars music like I've ever heard, and it's not John Williams. It was so great. I do love Ludwig as well, and especially like the work he did on Mando season 1 and 2. I think like the season 2, The Rescue, is one of my favorite Star Wars scores. I think it's great, but I gotta agree with you here. I think that maybe Ludwig does some themes for some of our characters, like obviously the Book of Boba Fett theme and the Mando theme, but if Kiner can incorporate those in the movie or something like that, that's what I want to see.
And then I could be wrong, but in the second episode, I thought I heard like a little like rendition of like the Mandalorian, like not like the whistle, but like whatever in Mando season 3 when Din would exit hyperspace, like for, like the Coruscant episode, like I don't know. I heard little renditions of that when Morgan Elsbeth was talking on Ciatos with Baylan and Shin.
Okay, I might have to go back and watch that. I don't know. That's
like it was just very subtle, but I was like that sounds like it. That sounds like a little bit.
There was a lot of subtle like little like motifs in there that you definitely recognize. So I wouldn't doubt it one bit.
Yeah, the Phantom Menace framing too of everything with the probe droid.
Oh yeah,
like
oh
the
my
shot,
gosh,
like shot for like I was like, all right, Dave, I know what you're doing. Thank you.
Yeah,
like it's about time.
Just like that mall scene, man. Oh, that was great.
Especially with like Baylan and Shin also like exiting their ship and walking up. I was like, oh my god, we're getting we're getting the Knights of the Republic cinematic of like the Sith boarding the Jedi coming from the Jedi Temple.
Yeah,
almost like that's instantly where my mind went with that.
I also saw a lot of comparisons, and I agree with it, to episode 1 when obviously Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are boarding the Trade Federation, and obviously the negotiations didn't take place, but here there were no negotiations. So they just took the prisoner and Morgan Elsbeth, and that was a really, really cool scene. That like got me right into the like this is Star Wars. This feels like classic Star Wars.
And I saw the Screen Crushers video. They said like when Baylan asked like who what Jedi could have done this, they had like the Ahsoka like title show up right after that instead of Morgan Elsbeth saying it. And I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
damn,
yeah,
that would have been so cool. But yeah, no, like, and even seeing like Balin is, I think really strong in the Force, just based off everything he's doing and doing it with such ease. Like he didn't even seem like he was trying. Like he was just, I don't know,
yeah.
like
So you got to think he's been in
yeah.
practice ever since he fled after Order 66, because yeah, he didn't miss a step really.
No, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Especially with everything with Shin, I feel like he's been very well maintaining his training.
Yeah, and he trained her well. I think that
Yeah.
fight with Sabine, it looked like she was just toying with Sabine the entire time.
Yeah, no, entirely. Like she
Mhm.
was literally just like playing with her food, so to speak.
Right, right.
Like I think she was more trying to figure out like what Sabine's fighting style is and how good she is and how skilled she is,
right.
more or less than, because if she really wanted to, I feel like she easily could have destroyed her. But she was constantly just
Oh,
like
yeah.
throwing her cape in front of her face and stuff, trying to like mess with her.
Yeah, that's
The only time that
the
she
way
was
I
like,
thought it
shit, I
too.
need to finish this off is when Ahsoka was coming near.
Yep, and she finished it in like a second. So
Yeah.
but she still didn't deliver a fatal blow, as we got the
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's becoming like a bad trope in Star Wars where if you get stabbed in the stomach, you'll live. But at least they showed her like going to like some sort of hospital and getting like medical care instead of just like
Yeah.
hopping her way over to Tatooine, like Reva or something. So
Yeah, there's this
yeah.
new like mystical Bacta spray that heals saber wounds now.
Right,
Apparently.
right. I mean,
from what
that's
it
a
seems like,
hole
it's just
straight through you. It doesn't
uh,
make
and
a lot
I
of sense
get-
to me. So
I get in real life you can get stabbed there, but I'm thinking like, what about your kidney?
right.
I mean, it's
Well,
just
I mean, I guess you
like-
can lose a kidney, but
I mean, at the same time, isn't that also where Qui-Gon got hit too? Or is that like directly through
I
the
think
stomach?
they're saying like Qui-Gon's went right through his spine or something, which I guess would be
I
a
mean, I
little
guess,
more
yeah.
fatal. But either way, I mean, they do need to stop doing
Look
that.
at-
I would have been fine if she
look
had lost an arm. That would have been great. Or a
Yeah, or
leg.
like look at Kylo Ren's when he got stabbed.
right.
That was like it's just, yeah.
right.
I don't know. It just seems like it's way too convenient that this keeps happening to multiple characters. Which, don't get me wrong, like I'm glad that like it happened to Sabine in a way, because now it's like not only just a learning experience, but now she's gonna have that history with Shin later on.
Right.
And I'm assuming that's also why when we see her fighting with Shin, she has her armor on because she doesn't want that to happen again.
Yeah, and I think
as
that
well.
makes sense, right? That she would fight with her armor on next time. Beskar,
Yeah.
she's gonna have a little bit of protection from a lightsaber blow. So,
And
yeah.
because too, like right before she grabbed Ezra's saber, it like the camera stayed still on her armor and her helmet. Like she was like debating on
yeah.
grabbing it, but was like, no, I don't need it. I'm good enough.
yeah.
And realized the hard way that it's not really the case.
Yeah, so I think what do you think? You think episode 3 we're gonna see some more training? Then it seems like I know we got like that one clip where they're fighting with the sticks in the trailer. So I'm thinking that's episode 3 is my guess.
Yeah, just based off the runtime alone, I'm thinking that's probably where we're gonna go with it. Either that or yeah, I mean, with how short the episode is, it's probably gonna be something to do with training.
Yeah, I'm thinking training and Hera asking New Republic for help, them declining.
Yeah,
obviously.
Mon Mothma showing up.
Yeah, I think we see that all in episode 3, and I think episode 4. I think we've hardly seen anything. I mean, I didn't expect that Red Forest scene where they're activating the map to be in episode 2.
Yeah.
That was shocking. That was happening
didn't-
that early.
I didn't either. Also, Clancy Brown back as
Oh,
Ryder
as
Azadi,
Ryder,
aka
yeah.
Savage Opress, and also the
AKA
the
Mr.
one,
Krabs.
yeah, and the guy that's yeah, because in episode I think it's 6 of Mando season 1, the Prison Break. He was played by
yeah,
Clancy
he
Brown.
is
Yeah.
the guy with the horns, right?
Yeah. That Mando lit on fire and he just didn't do anything to him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Savage Opress, I didn't think that like it got spoiled for me like 20 minutes before the episode came out as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because one of the viewers sent me a link to IGN's review of it, and instantly within the first minute they said, "I'm like, motherfucker!" Like I didn't even get a chance to watch it yet.
Oh
I'm already
my
getting spoiled.
gosh.
But
Yeah,
it was still cool. And then, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that also he introduced it was like one of those Imperial cadets that Ezra was
yeah.
with, Jai Kell or something like that.
Yeah, Jai Kell from the
Yeah.
from I think it was season 1 or season 2, the Imperial Academy.
Yep. So
It was really cool to see that
was
because
cool.
because once they escaped, he stayed with Ryder and Rebels. He was helping Ryder with all the stuff in the fall.
Right.
So So to see him back too, I was like, damn, all right, well, there's a shout out. They had so many name drops too. I did not think they were gonna drop Ezra's name in the first 10 minutes like they did.
Oh yeah, I mean
But Ahsoka and Hera was
didn't
talking.
care. Yeah, and she dropped Anakin's name obviously too.
Yeah.
But yeah, seeing that Ezra hologram though, that was really cool.
Dude, I started crying during a watch party, like, and not like sobbing, but I was like, stop doing it to me. And then like a couple tears came down. But yeah, no, I was hearing him recite all of Taylor Gray's like pretty much monologue from his sacrifice.
Yeah.
But then hearing it split up in her dream as well, like saying like I'm counting on you to see this one through. That's where I was like, dude, stop it, don't do it to me.
Yeah. The one thing that I mean, first of all, Imani has captured Ezra like perfectly. I just want to say,
Yeah,
like, the voice was
honestly.
perfect.
I thought it was Taylor Gray, like in her when she was having her like force dream.
Yeah.
I thought that was Taylor Gray talking. Like I couldn't even tell.
Pretty wild.
It was really cool.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
really good. I got a question for you because I don't really recall specifically. I'm not quite to Rebels season finale yet. Again, I'm still watching it right now.
Yeah.
But I don't really remember when. I don't remember him ever saying like you're like a sister to me or whatever, which he said in his message. Did he say that in the original message, or was that something they added?
No, because when I heard that too, I'm like a sister that you have like
Right.
feelings for. Like this is like that I think was new. If not, it could have been when they were. Because right before the epilogue in the finale, they're going to hyperspace. I think Hera, and Zeb, and the rest of the Ghost crew, they're all sitting there listening to his message. It could have been there because he starts talking to Sabine through that.
Okay, that part threw me for a loop because first of all, I thought the Ezra like Sabine thing is gonna happen, and now it kind of seems like maybe they're trying to throw us the other way and just say like, no, that's not the way he feels or something. But he does.
Yeah, because when Ezra rescued Sabine's father in season 4, her father was like, so you're with Sabine? And he was like, I'm not like with your daughter, like I'm in the group with her, but I'm not with her. And I was just like, all right, so what are we doing here? Like, when it came up in the episode, I was just like, all right, I mean, if that's the way it's gonna go, but I mean, sweet, but I don't know.
I thought
there
that
was
the way
some
it was
connection
going,
there.
but I thought there was a connection there too. So I don't know if Dave's just trying to be like squash that, completely by saying like, oh, you're like a sister to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
That part threw me for a loop a little bit, so I was like a little confused by that, but we'll have to see. I think when they meet up, it might be a little different, so we'll see. When and if they meet up.
Yeah. What about that? Both of our theories came true that Morgan Elsbeth was going to be a Night Sister.
Yeah, I mean that was
surviving Night Sisters of Dathomir.
Yeah, that started to get a little obvious with all the trailers, but yeah, I mean that's pretty cool that she was like, I'm a survivor. I think that was a really cool line. I'm really interested to see if she can do like more magic than just levitating the ball, obviously, like the map. So I really want to see her kind of coming around. And my question about Morgan Elsbeth is like, why does she want to find Thrawn so bad? Did she have a past relationship with him in terms of like, did she work for him in the past and just knows how great of a military strategist he is? Like, that part kind of, I'm not really getting it yet, but I'm assuming that answer is going to come eventually.
Yeah. So in episode 2, when they were on that little transport thing going to the command center, they were talking, and the guy was saying that, Harold was saying that Morgan Elsbeth worked with Thrawn during the Empire, like during the reign of the Empire, because that Corellian shipyard is hers, but then got re-sieged by the New Republic, and they're saying that she was helping him with his fleet and everything, like building the fleet.
That's a good point.
Because obviously he was given the 7th Fleet, but I believe that like also like how he was trying to make the Imperial factory on Lothal.
Yeah,
like that was one of his like outposts that he had. And I think maybe with her being a Night Sister and having a connection, I don't know. I just know that they definitely said in episode 2 that she was working with him during the reign of the Empire. Obviously, before he got jumped into hyperspace.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. I forgot that had been mentioned before. It definitely has. So okay. So maybe she just knows how smart he is and thinks that that's the way back into power, because clearly she's lost all of her power. I mean, she lost her factory. She lost Corvus basically because of
and also too
Ahsoka. So yeah.
Yeah, and also too, Ahsoka said that she, like, before giving her to the New Republic, she tortured her. She was saying that she used techniques that like the Jedi wouldn't approve of. Like she tortured the information out of her.
Out of her mind.
And
Yeah.
and on top of that, 2 people were saying in my chat that that the 3 figures on the walls inside the temple looked like the Wills from the episode in the Clone Wars season 6.
Yeah.
But I was thinking more, it looked like the Zepho almost.
Yeah.
Like it looked like some connection with the Zepho.
The Zepho thing is definitely possible, right? Especially because when she activated the map, and it's obviously going to another galaxy, which we'll talk about, but
yeah,
she said that it was an ancient civilization that built that temple basically like thousands of years ago or whatever, and that could be the Zepho, I guess.
And Balin also had knowledge of it too, because he was talking about it with her when they were on that planet. Also too, I realized I just had it and I lost it. It'll come back to me. But like when they were in there, I think maybe, because I know Quinlan Voss had it. Obviously, Cal Kestis has it, but for psychometry, when Ahsoka was touching like the pillars, then she was hearing everything.
Yeah.
Same thing with like when in the second episode when she was walking over where Sabine and Shin had fought. She was rehearing it all in her head, and it reminded me a lot of Survivor and Fallen Order.
Yeah, that was really cool. I mean, that was kind of one thing we haven't seen on screen ever. So that was kind of like a new Force thing on screen, besides obviously the video games. But yeah, really cool.
I think Balin might have some sort of insight, like Force insight, in episode 2, and he was like going through the Force and feeling kind of like how like Ahsoka did with and found out Anakin was Vader and Rebels. I think it was season 2 or 3 when Vader was in pursuit of them on Lothal, and her and Kanan reached out in the Force together and sensed him. I don't know. Balin definitely is very interesting. I think he's. There's so much with him. I don't even know if I can get into all of it.
Right, Balin is probably the most interesting character in the show for me. I mean, he just. I think the Ghost crew is super well casted. I think that Hera is Hera, Sabine is Sabine, Ahsoka is Ahsoka. So
yeah,
I mean that's great, but like Balin's the most intriguing character because we don't know much about him. And that line he said to Morgan Elsbeth towards the end of the episode about like, well, it's such a shame that we're gonna have to like kill Ahsoka. Like, do you think he's gonna switch to the light side or possibly spare her life for any reason? Do you think he's gonna die? I mean, there's a lot behind that line, I think.
I was looking more into it, more of like how like Thrawn was so intrigued with people and their like, for example, like Sabine's art and like the Phoenix Squadron insignia.
Yeah.
I was thinking of like Balin was just like okay, she's a very powerful Force user, and she has a lot of things that we could use to our advantage if she was to turn with us. I think Balin. I don't think he was more of like, no, I don't want to kill her because she's a Jedi. I think he was saying more like, it's going to be a shame to lose her because of how powerful she is and the things that we could use to our advantage if we had her with us. Yeah. But it could also go either way, where he's genuinely feeling like remorse for it. But at the same time, when he was breaking out Morgan Elsbeth, he was talking about, well, she's paying us a good amount. Like for the amount she's paying.
Yeah, but obviously he's like in it for the money, but at the same time, it also seems like he wants Thrawn's power for some reason because of what he said to Shin. So
yeah, like Thrawn is going to be able to give him some sort of like power or something.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he wants to lead the new Jedi, in a way. Obviously he doesn't have the same ideals that Luke would have or something like that. But maybe he wants to head up the new Jedi Order because he cares about Force users as a whole. It just seems like he's kind of towing the line of the dark side and not really. I mean, he hasn't fully given in, I wouldn't say.
And it seems like too, like with the way that Shin was taught and everything, and how she still has a Padawan braid. Balin is still very much in the Jedi culture and in the way of doing things. He's just not being as dogmatic and as diplomatic with the Jedi, and he's cutting more corners when it comes to like being reasonable. Like, because if he was full blown Sith, when they asked for his identification, he would have just killed him right away. Instead, he gave him the Jedi code and he talked to them, trying to resolve it peacefully rather than just slaughtering them all. He wanted to just resolve it, but the second that the captain told him like, no, we're gonna arrest you, or take you in, that's when he was like, all right, we're done.
That's true.
He was giving them a chance to do it peacefully.
Yeah, the captain was pretty arrogant, and I think it cost him his life, obviously. So Yeah, dude, I don't know. Balin is really, really interesting to me. I like
Yeah.
can't wait to see how that unfolds. I think episode 4, when they have that fight, in the temple there,
Red
I think
Forest.
that's gonna be we're gonna learn a lot in
Yeah.
that one. I think so.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
And
that.
speaking to,
Go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would say, I think when we were seeing the other galaxy, that's the new Beyond, like from like the leaks.
Yeah,
And because Balin looked up and saw Purgle, so that has to be also where we see Ahsoka and Sabine later in the later trailers we got, where they were flying through the Purgle. Because, I mean, it seems like they all like the Purgle aren't just like one here, one there. They're all in a group together. They all travel together
yeah,
like a pot of fish or school of fish. Sorry.
yeah.
So
It's really interesting. That's definitely the Purgle. Like that's definitely the
Yeah.
scene with. Because it also is the same kind of like cloudy, like gray, cloudy. You
Yeah,
can see it in the trailers. So that's definitely the case there. But the interesting thing, probably the most interesting thing of the whole entire like 2 episodes for me, is the fact that this is another galaxy. Like I think originally most of us thought, okay, Thrawn and Ezra are in the unknown regions, or like in an extension of the current galaxy, but somehow the Purgle travel between galaxies, it seems like, and that's why they're trying to find the way the Purgles
Yeah.
go. So I mean, this is a whole different galaxy, which means, I mean, that just makes me think EU, like Vong,
yeah,
or something.
I was
like
just about to say
you
that
know?
that screams Yuzong Vong. To me,
Yeah.
like because yeah.
that
And
is
that would
really intriguing to
also-
me. So I mean, because that's the other thing about the Islamari, right? Like Thrawn's in a whole nother galaxy. There could be something out there that we haven't been introduced to before that he could bring back with him, and it could be like Islamari or something like that.
If him and Ezra are still like together, that's how he could combat Ezra.
Yeah,
And that would be the only thing that makes sense is like if they got to the other, let's say that, like they're in like the Nodian Highlands, like the leaks had said, and they let's say like the Chimera crashes and Thrawn escapes, and Ezra escapes too, and Ezra's in pursuit of him. But by the time he catches up to Thrawn, he has found Usalamari.
yeah, or they're in the trees or
Yuslamari,
something,
sorry.
and he's just
Yeah,
blocked from
and-
the Force.
And then Thrawn realizes like, oh shit, all right.
Yeah,
Because then too, like if Morgan Elsbeth with a giant hyperspace ring and the Super Star Destroyer hyperdrive, I think that they're gonna try and follow the Purgil through hyperspace, like where they go, and travel with them from like destination to destination until they arrive to where Thrawn could be. Because she was saying that Thrawn was even calling out to her, and she was like hearing like whispers and stuff when they had the dome activated.
yeah. So I remember that, but so the ring.
Yeah.
Are they putting a ship inside of that? Like, I'm a little confused about that too, because it looks like it has like a space up top where she was standing, on that gold bridge. So the ring is very
She was-
interesting to me. Like, why is it a ring? Like, why is it shaped this way?
Well,
What what
I
does it
think-
mean?
I think for how big it is, and then them needing like a Super Star Destroyer hyperdrive,
Yeah,
I think it has to be that big and be that just so it can be that powerful enough to go that
to
much
travel
of a
that
distance.
far. Okay.
Because
That makes
I mean, you gotta
sense.
think that's a giant, that's a giant leap. That's not going from like Corellia to Hoth or Bespin.
Yeah.
That's a giant jump. So
I mean, yeah, they're
and I think
leaving the galaxy. Like that's
Yeah,
absurd.
like,
Like, so.
and I think also it might have some sort of like tracking capability to track the Purgil,
Mm,
because it's not like they can just attach to the Purgil and jump on with them.
right. Well,
mean, okay,
I don't know. What if a
actually-
Purgle flies through that thing and like that's
I
how
was
they
gonna say,
go?
actually, yeah, like if they link up in between, like in the middle of that thing,
Yeah.
that also that could very well explain it. The Purgle link into like, I don't know,
Inside
because
the
in
ring or
Andor they
something?
said because in
Yeah.
Andor when they were torturing Bix, they were saying it was like animal sounds. So they could be using those sounds in a way to like lure the Purgle into the ring, and that's how they're gonna jump.
Mm.
Is that they're gonna use the sound somehow? I don't know, like mating sounds or whatever they said that was in
Yeah.
Andor. And I don't know.
And just
That's kind of like a more like way out there theory, but it just well, how big it is, it's like yeah, they think they're fitting a ship, but even then, like, what kind of ship would fit in that? Because
Right.
that thing was huge in scale. When we got close and saw the transport ship that was, like lowering the
yeah.
hyperdrive, the thing was huge.
I mean, it would have to be a Star Destroyer or larger, like a Super Star Destroyer or something. But I don't think Thrawn's would be intact anymore. So I
No,
mean,
yeah, and
yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if they were trying to get it there so they could bring back his, the Chimera or something. I would love to see the Chimera again, obviously
Yeah.
as his ship. But they could just rename any Star Destroyer the Chimera when he gets back to the galaxy.
Well, and two, like with Thrawn being in another galaxy, if we want to go the Vong route, I mean they hate technology.
Yeah.
So that would explain why Thrawn needs her to come get him because he can't get out.
Yeah, they don't use tech at all, but they still can travel through hyperspace using their I don't know, biological ships basically.
Yeah.
So living ships is what they call them. But if we get anything Vong, I'm gonna lose it, man. That sounds awesome.
I think when Thrawn comes back, and this is gonna lead into like my Luke theory. I think when Thrawn comes back, he's bringing the Vong back with him.
That would
Because
be
Are
they gonna fight
Thrawn,
with him?
I think Thrawn might have made a deal with the Vong somehow. Like if he can leave Chilla and the Chiss Ascendancy like alone, because I mean that would be enough of a threat where Luke has to step in. Where Ahsoka's like, we're not equipped to deal with this.
Yeah, no, that's a
And
good point.
mean,
Luke's got to step in at some point, though. Even
Yeah.
I don't know. Even Thrawn leading like a military again is going to be an issue.
Yeah, because all the like when Thrawn returns, and because I rewatched the Mando episode,
Mm-hmm.
they said that they're gonna appoint Thrawn like the head of the Empire now.
Right, but they said in the Ahsoka episode that he's the last Grand Admiral that they haven't tracked down, basically. So because they presumed him to be dead, so he should be the leader of the Empire. So that makes sense. But I definitely like the idea of like, okay, if there's another bigger threat out in this other galaxy, let's say Vong, let's just use Vong for now. It could be something, it could be Grisk or something different.
Yeah.
But if the Vong are out there, that also would be like enough motivation for Thrawn that when he comes back, he's like, look, I need to be in charge of this galaxy or else we're all going to get killed by the Vong.
But
And that could be
that
his
would be-
motivation to like, I'm going to take over the New Republic.
and that would be insane too, because the New Republic are like they're doing exactly what the Empire did in Andor. They were way too headstrong. Like where they're like, no one's stupid enough to attempt to do anything.
Yeah.
It's history is literally repeating itself right now with the New Republic.
Right. I almost
I
think
think if-
the galaxy's too big for them for any one like body to govern it. Is kind of what
Yeah,
we're
and-
getting the sense of.
I think if Thrawn came back and tried to tell the New Republic that, they would just shut it down and think he's full of shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're not going
And-
to listen to him. He's an
Yeah.
Imperial warlord. I mean, like they're not going to listen
Yeah,
to him.
Thrawn could like. We never saw Thrawn really scared. Even like when he was being like grabbed by the Purrgil, he was more like angered. He wasn't like scared.
Right. He just like
I
knew he
think-
was bested, and like that was
Yeah.
what pissed him off. Yeah.
I think like one of two things: either like if Thrawn can get the Vong to come with him, or if Thrawn knows the threat of the Vong
Yeah.
and is so scared of it, then I think that would be a reasonable thing for him to come back. Like, no, I need to take over so that we can eliminate this threat and save our galaxy.
Yeah, because he wants to save the galaxy because obviously of the Chiss people. That he doesn't really care about anyone else, but that's enough motivation for him to be like, all right, I'm gonna take over basically. Like I'm not gonna let this go on any longer. So I think that's very possible.
And obviously, even though it's the sequels, obviously with the sequels, the galaxy's still there. So whatever happened had to have concluded with the galaxy still being the same and still staying. I guess not the same, but not being tore apart from the Vong.
Yeah, but the other thing is maybe they haven't arrived yet at the time of the sequels.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what these new, the new Rey movie and whatnot is going to be about. I mean, possibly. We don't know. We don't know anything, basically. So we're like, I like being in the dark, though. I think that actually makes it a little more fun in terms of like speculating and stuff. Because I mean, I love Andor. Don't get me wrong. I think it's an incredibly written show. I think it's a beautiful show visually. But we know how it all ends, and we know how we know that the rebellion is going to form up. We know that Mon Mothma is going to lead the rebellion. We know they're going to defeat the Empire, and we even know how Andor, dies. So it's like
we know,
there's no
Andor,
stakes in reality.
Yeah, because from what I saw, the ending of Andor season 2 is supposed to lead like directly into Rogue One, just like how Rogue One went directly into A New Hope.
Yeah, I think that's cool to have those gaps filled in. You'll be able to sit there and watch Andor 1 and 2, Rogue One, and then boom, jump into New Hope, and that's awesome. I love that. But like I'm saying, I think that what Filoni is doing right now, what Jon Favreau is doing, is like they're giving us a story where we're not really sure how it goes. Like, obviously, the only sad thing is that we know how Luke's academy turns out. That's the only like huge bummer here. And we know that the First Order is going to come sometime down the line, but like, so that stuff's kind of frustrating. But it's like, as far as Thrawn goes, this new galaxy, Ahsoka's future, any of the Rebels crew's future, even Ezra, we don't know anything. So like, we're completely in the dark of where this is all headed.
Yeah, and then on top of that too, I mean, we still got roughly around another 25 years, 20 something years. Before the sequels, and there's so much that can happen in that time.
Yeah, plenty of time.
And like you said, we don't obviously we know way down the line what's going to happen, but in between that, there's so many things that could happen. It's just, I love the fact that we don't know. Yeah, we won't know until Dave's movie in 2027.
Yeah, I mean, even then, Dave's movie could take place, 12, 13 ABY, and we still have another 20 years to go. You know what I mean? So it's like, I still want to see a secret Skywalker child. Like, there's a lot I want to happen during that time, and there's plenty of time to do it. So I think that's what makes all this so great, and that's what makes it intriguing. We don't even know where the next episode's really headed for Ahsoka. I mean, we can take guesses, we can educate a guess, but we can't know for sure.
I mean, on top of that too, like, as you and I were talking in DMs last night, like, who is Jason with?
Right.
Where's Jason?
Where is Jason? Where's the ghost?
Like,
what?
Yeah. Rex or Zeb is like the most logical answer of like, all right, where's the ghost? Obviously, we saw the Phantom. Where's the ghost?
Right. Yeah.
And I think it could. I don't know. It could be on Yavin or on Chopper Base. But why wouldn't Hera just take the ghost? Like, or actually, no. Sorry, it's probably on the New Republic fleet, honestly, and she just took the Phantom to Corellia.
Yeah, it's just because they did that a lot in Rebels. They just take the Phantom somewhere instead. So that's fine. I get that. I'm just curious. I just want to know, like, hey, where is Jason? Because we know he's around. He's probably 10 years old now.
Like 10 to 13 roughly.
Yeah. So, I mean, someone's got to be hanging out with him. Maybe he's at Luke's. I mean, what do I know? So.
Yeah, he's chilling there, or like the thing is too, like we saw in Rebels, like people would have the Phantom, like let's say like Kanan, Rex, and Ezra,
right? And
then Hera would be with the Ghost.
Yeah,
and they're off doing multiple things at once, and then they meet back together to like reemerge together. So they could be out doing stuff too. We don't really know, and we didn't see Jason with the lightsaber in the Lego set, so he could just be using a blaster currently. If he's not,
do we think he's Force sensitive?
I mean, I will say, I don't know how he wouldn't be, but at the same time, we've had it where Force sensitives have had kids and they're not Force sensitive. Like technically, like Palpatine's son.
Right.
So,
would you be upset if he wasn't Force sensitive though? Like,
no.
Do you want him to be? Okay, I wouldn't be either. Actually, I think that's like that would be kind of cool to be like, okay, a son of a Jedi and he doesn't have the Force. Like that would actually change things a little bit based on what we've seen in the past.
Jason just being like a smuggler, even. Like,
yeah.
He doesn't have to go down the route of being a Jedi and being a keeper of the peace. He could be out doing literally whatever, and I wouldn't care as long as it fits the story and it's not like a total shot in the dark.
Right.
I don't know. I would like both of them seem cool, and both of them could have and go their own ways, and I'd be totally here for it as long as it's done right. Yeah,
I agree completely. I think I think it'd actually be even a little more bold to not make him a Jedi and make him do something else, down the line. I mean, if he's a Jedi though, that's cool too. I'm cool with that. So either way,
I do got a question for you though.
Yeah.
So I know IMDb is very off with things, but Captain Enoch was supposed to be in all 8 episodes according to IMDb. We haven't seen him in 2 episodes so far.
Yeah, I doubt that they knew for sure. They just know he's in the show.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not till episode 5 and beyond. You know what I mean? I don't even know. It depends on when we see Thrawn, I think, too.
And I'm thinking, like, I mean, obviously, this is probably a shot in the dark, but like, what if he's on that planet that Thrawn and Ezra end up on, and that's where Thrawn meets him?
Yeah, that's possible. That'd be cool. I hope we get some backstory to what happened though when Thrawn and Ezra showed up there.
There's no way that Dave's gonna be like, yeah, no, they're just here now. Like he's gonna show something with what happens. Like we're gonna see it.
I hope so. I really do.
I have faith we're gonna see it.
Yeah,
I do too.
I
don't really know how.
I think we're gonna get Ahsoka flashbacks still. I don't think we're done with
Oh, I mean, we haven't even heard Hayden yet.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna hear him. Well, we're gonna see him probably. So.
Yeah, I mean, we got a quick little name drop, and that was it.
Yeah,
there's more coming.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not more worried about the 31-minute runtime, like without credits. I'm just more like, okay, is it gonna be a filler episode, or is it gonna be important to the story?
I don't think there is gonna be any filler, man. Like those 2 episodes last night, they just they basically just flowed. I mean, even though there were slow moments and stuff, it basically everything like progressed the story. So there was a good flow to the whole thing. You know what I mean? The pacing, like I said, could get a little slow, but like as long as the story is moving forward, I'm fine. I think that was the problem with Mandalorian season 3 is like some stuff didn't move the story forward at all. Like it was just like, this is happening, like, by the way, over here. And like, it doesn't really matter. Like
everything in the Lizzo episode minus the last like 10 minutes.
Right.
Like that didn't feel like it was really fitting the story minus why Axe Woves and the rest of the Coven are there.
Right. So we get like 5 minutes of progressing the story. Like, or if 30 minutes is progressing the story, then fine. If that's training Sabine, if that's meeting back up with the Ghost Crew, if that's talking to the New Republic and trying to get their help, that's progressing the story to me. That's not an issue at all.
Can I say something a little outlandish?
Do it.
I don't think it was badly paced at all. Like, even though it was slow, I felt like it was slow enough to where like it still filled the room and it still gave the information we needed and the world building we needed. Especially if like we look at it from like perspective, like most people might not be watching the show having seen Clone Wars or Rebels. So giving that little extra 5 minutes, I think might serve like the correct purpose.
I agree. And I don't mean to criticize in a way saying like I felt it was slow, but I can understand why watching people stand around and talk for 10 minutes might feel slow. Yeah. For me, I love the world building. I think we need more of it. I think some of these shows do need to take a breath sometimes and talk a little bit. And like you said, for people who haven't seen Rebels, that's good context. Like, you know, Anakin was my master. We all know that, but there's people who don't out there.
And same thing too. Like the only thing I wish might have happened was in that opening crawl they gave like a small little like excerpt about like the events of Rebels, so that everyone's like, all right, who are these characters?
Yeah,
like who is this Ezra person they're talking about?
Right. Like we're a little bit more emotionally invested because we've seen Rebels, and I think than some people are, but people will get there. I think that's why they're doing what they're doing right now and building up the characters and having those conversations. And it also, the first episode had like 3 lightsaber battles, so we need to like it's plenty. Yeah.
And too, like in episode 2 when Ahsoka and Balin pronounced like Merrick as like Marok.
Oh my gosh, I was gonna ask you about that. Yeah, he's like Marok. Like that's not how I thought it was gonna be pronounced, which is kind of throwing me off here a little bit.
And like when him and Ahsoka were fighting, and when he threw his saber, I was like, all right, he's leaving it there. Where's the saber going through? And how Ahsoka just like steps out of the way.
Yeah,
it reminded me so much. What was it? Anakin in the opening season 7 of Clone Wars.
Yeah,
where they're where he just steps out of the way of like the blaster bolts. Or I mean, all right, I'm not gonna bring up Last Jedi. I'm not gonna bring it up. But like it was just really cool to see.
Ever.
Yeah, it was it was really cool just to see her just like sidestep. She like knowing that it's not gonna hit her at all. It's not trying to hit her. Yeah, just sidestep out of the way. I was like, damn. All right, that was kind of cold, just seeing that happen.
Yeah, that was sick. I really think. Marok, I guess we're gonna get used to calling him that. His design is incredible. Like he just walks out of like the temple ruins or whatever with like the cape over him and the helmet, and it's like he didn't even get introduced. Like it's just like, oh, he's here now. Like
he's sick. Here. Like get used to it. And I love too that you could see the rust on his armor.
Yeah.
You could see all the rusting and how like, okay, this armor's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
It's not new shiny new Inquisitor armor. Like, no, he's been wearing this for years.
Yeah.
That's from what it seems like.
Um,
So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say my Ezra theory is shit. It's not gonna happen.
I don't think he's Ezra. I am also kind of
Yeah.
like now leaning away from Starkiller. I'm still holding out hope that Sam Witwer is playing this Inquisitor though. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm
I don't know, man.
I'm not even gonna give the Barrett, not Barrett, Maris, Barris,
Barris off
Barris,
yeah.
the Barris theory any merit. I don't
It's
see how
not
that's
Barris. There's no way that is
'Cause
Barris. It's a
if
guy.
it was, yeah, if it was, Balin would have had a gun and grabbed Barris out of the prison before he left, and I don't think he would have done that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Balin like would have like I don't even say like he turned, but I don't think he would have started changing his ideology until after he left and fled the temple.
I
Or
agree.
if he was on Coruscant anyway.
It would have to been after he saw what happened to the Jedi because of, obviously their arrogance and stuff. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and with that too. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that the Inquisitor is a really cool character so far, but he hasn't talked at all. So I'm like, I think it could possibly be nobody. I think that's very possible.
Did you? So I know you definitely heard like the voice modulator grunt.
Yeah,
But when him and Ahsoka like locked sabers and they were sitting there, and he was swinging it, you could hear like normal grunting without the voice modulator. It was still like a guy. It still sounded like someone like that was like actually grunting. You just gotta listen closely, but you can hear it, and it doesn't sound like it's being modulated at all.
okay.
So that loud one, I don't know. I really don't know what that was intended for. If they're just gonna leave the regular grunting in, like in the first trailer when I first pointed out the grunting, that was without the voice modulator.
Right, there was no
That's how it
modulator in
sounded
that.
like. That's how it sounded like normally, in when he was grunting when he was fighting in the shots, minus the loud one.
Yeah,
Also, what do you think about
that's interesting.
how when Chopper was throwing on the tracking beacon when he was spinning around
Yeah,
in a circle? I'm like, that's so Rebels. Like that screams Rebels because that's literally what Chopper would do.
that whole scene with
like-
Chopper, like him
Yeah.
going through like his stuff, that was so
Like,
funny, man.
Did you get through my stuff? No, I didn't. Yes, you did.
Yeah.
And the fact that we could like understand what he was saying too, I was like, I can't picture Dave Filoni sitting in like a studio just saying that.
I know.
stuff.
I want to see some
Like,
like, behind the
like-
scenes of him
yeah.
doing that. Like it sounds hilarious.
Like I don't know, and like people were saying that like Mary Elizabeth Winstead doesn't sound like Hera, and like it seems like she's like forcing it, like her bickering with Chopper. I'm like, no, that sounds just like Hera and Chopper.
Yeah, the I will say I gotta agree with that. What some people were saying, like at first, like the first episode, I was like, man, she does not sound like Hera to me. But once she got like going and talking to Chopper
Yeah.
and talking to Ahsoka a little bit more, I started to like, and when she was talking to Sabine too, when she was the hologram in the hospital there, that's when I was like, okay, she definitely is like capturing it pretty damn well. Like obviously the
only
voice
thing-
isn't gonna sound exactly the same, and we have to
Yeah.
get over that definitely.
The only thing that kind of threw me off was when Hera's hologram was on Ahsoka's ship. Her eyes were creeping me out a little bit.
Yeah,
Her
the eyes
eyes
were
were, like,
a little strange. Yeah, they're like, "Ooh."
I was just like, okay, who turned up the contrast on those contacts?
Yeah,
Like it was just a little odd, but I was
Like,
like, all right,
really
well, I
bright.
mean, also Morgan Elsbeth's like hollow projection of Balin, that was so like crisp and clear, and it almost looked like it was like water.
yeah. Did you
Like-
see like the way it flowed out of the ceiling?
Yeah, and it would like fizzed out like sand.
Yeah,
It was so weird.
I wonder
so
if that
cool,
was
too.
like some magic thing she's doing, or obviously what she
Yeah.
is familiar with in terms of like ancient civilizations and magic and Night Sister stuff is definitely different than what we've seen in the past. So I think I don't know. I love that little tidbit. I think the detail is really, really cool. Like that's something that we've never seen. And
Yeah.
we know that she's a little different. So I think it's cool to have something like that for only on her ship. Like the
It
New
was
Republic's
also, like,
still
really-
using the old like
yeah.
holograms.
Because like you could see like especially on because I'm pretty sure like Home One was the same ship that Akbar was using in Return.
really?
I could be wrong, but because like that holotable in that room that looked like the same setting where like when Luke rejoined the Republic before, like
Oh my
it looked
gosh,
like
I'm
the
gonna have to, like,
exact.
go back and
obvious-
watch that.
Obviously, it could be a totally different Mon Calamari ship, but it looked just like it. And pretty sure, I don't want to say 100%, but I'm pretty sure Home One was Admiral Akbar's ship.
Okay.
I-
That'd be
I
awesome.
could be wrong though.
Love that little nod. That's
But
so cool.
on that holotable, it was still like the old technology where it was
Right.
like glitching here and there, but Morgan Elsbeth was like polished.
Yeah.
It was the clearest picture we've gotten to, and then at the end when all of them kind of like nod with their head down, I don't know. I thought it was really
Just
sick.
like disappear. I thought it was really cool too. That
Yeah.
was awesome. All right, so let's talk Sabine a little bit because we haven't really talked about her. So we pretty much got confirmation that she has some training from Ahsoka to be a Jedi, which I'm fine with. And I thought that the comment from Hu Yang was hilarious, where he's like, out of all the students, you have the least affinity for the Force of any of them, which is like perfect. Like if they're gonna make her a Jedi, like maybe she just isn't strong in the Force, and that's fine. But like she has something there that she's willing to try and work towards, and I think that's really cool.
And George Lucas said too that everyone has the Force in them, and everyone is Force sensitive in a way. But it's just a matter of how Force sensitive you are.
Yeah.
Like Han Solo was technically Force sensitive, according to George Lucas.
Yeah.
So everyone has the ability to know the Force and understand it, but it's almost at like a tier level, which sounds really stupid, but it does make sense and has merit to it when it comes to like, all right, yeah, because it's a living thing that binds us, penetrates us, and surrounds us.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone technically has access to it. It's just, all right, well, are you able to get to that level?
Right.
And some people it's not possible.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that she is training to like try and achieve it to some degree. But the fact that it doesn't come naturally is like that's cool. That's fine. That's like a stepping stone for her. I don't think she's ever gonna be on the level that like Ahsoka's on, and that's fine. But if she can wield a lightsaber and wear her Beskar armor, like that makes her lethal. You know what I mean?
Honestly, yeah, and honestly, I think she's probably lower than even like a youngling.
Probably
like an initiate. Like she's like her like midichlorian count is probably nilch.
Yeah,
but she still clearly has some connection because she's having those Force dreams, like the same ones that like Anakin was having.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not as powerful, but she was still having them.
Yeah.
And there was a couple times too where like she'd be thinking, and I don't know if it was just the audio, but it sounded like she was like kind of like almost like sensing something, because when the Lothcat like hissed at the droid, she moved so quickly, like she already like had sensed it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Just about how quickly she like jumped and ducked out of the way. It was just seemed a little too quick for her to recognize from like Lothcat that's what was happening.
Yeah, I think
it just seemed a little too quick.
Yeah, and that might be like she's been training to open herself up to the Force because I was watching the Trials of the Darksaber the other day, and Kanan says like she can learn this. She's just closing herself off right now. So I think maybe she's just trying to open herself up to the Force, you know?
And when she was connecting with the Darksaber, she was like, hey, it's starting to get lighter, which Din Djarin hasn't been able to do. Bo-Katan has. Because Bo can handle it perfectly fine.
Oh, yeah.
But Kanan told her, like, no, you got to, like, feel it and connect with it. And once she did, she stopped dragging it like Din was in Book of Boba Fett. She started being able to actually pick it up and use it and wield it. And she ended up overpowering Kanan.
Right.
So it's definitely there. And I think, too, like, I have a theory that why Ahsoka stopped training her, not only because they're polar opposites, but she's so lacking in the Force that it's almost impossible to train her because Ahsoka thinks bringing Sabine out is just going to lead her to her death, which kind of happened almost at the end of Episode 1, where her fears came true. And I think that's why she was so pissed off at her when she left the room. Minus that she stole the orb, because, I mean, it was typical Sabine, but it's also really stupid.
Yeah, it's really dangerous because, like, she needed to keep that orb in her sight. Yeah, and she didn't. So that's kind of knew what was going to happen when that all went down. But yeah.
But I do think though that like Ahsoka was more scared of losing Sabine because her fears were going to come true. Of maybe she knows that Sabine's not well equipped enough with the Force to fully defend herself. She might be able to hold her own and like be efficient, but with a fully trained Force user, if Shin wanted to, she would have ended that fight in 5 seconds.
That's right.
There's no doubt in my mind. So I don't know.
I think you're right, but I think it definitely doesn't bode well for for Sabine's future. Obviously, she's gonna have the Beskar armor, which is gonna help, but I don't think she can beat any Force user in a one-on-one lightsaber fight. I mean, I don't think she has it in her. Even if she trains,
No.
I don't think she can technically win against the Force. I just don't think she's going to be able to.
I mean, she barely won against Gar Saxon when she was using Ezra Saber.
Right.
She beat
But
him.
she had training, and he
Yes,
didn't.
and Gar Saxon didn't.
Yeah.
And she also seemed like she was struggling there too. But in the line in the trailer where Shin tells Sabine like you have no power before we see her do like the overhead strike,
Mm-hmm.
I think she realizes, all right, no, Sabine isn't even Force sensitive,
Yeah.
so she's like punishing her. And I think
she
Shin's gonna
realizes
get
it,
too strong. Yeah, I think Shin's gonna get too strong headed, and Sabine's gonna realize that she's overconfident, cocky, arrogant, a lot like Anakin in a way.
Yeah.
And she's gonna use that to her advantage and maybe one up her.
You're probably right. She'll probably one up her with a non-Jedi trick, like something like a Mandalorian trick or something like that.
I was just about to say,
Yeah.
We saw when she set up her armor, the wrist gauntlets that Fen Rao gave her.
Fen Rao
the ones
gave
that
them
she
to
used
her,
to,
yep.
yeah,
Mhm.
when she grabbed the saber, the dark saber off the ground, she still has those, and we saw her literally use it on one of the Corvus cards
Yeah.
that was outside of Ahsoka's ship.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if she uses her Mandalorian heritage and her abilities with her 500-year-old armor, she would be able to do something. I
Yeah,
mean, the
I think
Mandalorians
so.
had that tomb for Maul when at the end of Clone Wars when Maul was put in that like capsule
Yeah.
to where he couldn't use any of his Force abilities. So I don't know. Very interested to see what's gonna happen with that though.
Yeah, I think based on the trailer, I think still that she wins that fight somehow, but I think you're right. I think she's gonna have to catch Shin like off guard or something like that because Shin's probably gonna get cocky because she realizes that Sabine does not have the Force and can't.
Yeah, and Shin
wield it.
also Shin seems like she's questioning everything like too much. Like when Balin was talking to her, like Balin seemed like all right, like slow your roll.
Yeah.
When they were first on Arcana and then Ciatos, like it seemed like Shin's getting almost getting like a little too big for her bridges, and Balin sees that, but she doesn't.
Right. I mean, she's like any other like strong-headed Padawan we've seen before, though, right?
Yeah.
She's like really eager, and
Ahsoka was like that too,
right.
in the Clone Wars.
Ahsoka's like that. Anakin was like that, and I think it's kind of cool to see. We keep seeing these eager like Padawans, and I think that's how they get probably when they're learning all this power and they're learning it so fast when they're young like that. So I think she probably
did too, yeah.
Yeah, she probably thinks she's a little stronger than she is right now. Maybe she'll get put in her place. I don't know. We'll see. So
I remember like she asked Balin like something along the lines of like, why do we even need them?
yeah,
When I was talking about like Morgan Elsbeth. So I don't know, it just Shin will probably win again against Sabine, and I don't want to say that Sabine's gonna die, but they're also kind of like foreshadowing it in a way.
I know they kind of are. It's like it's really strange. Like I feel like it's a possibility that she dies, but it's like it's kind of crazy. Like Sabine dying would I don't know what that do to Ezra, man. That's just like
that. Like also too, that could push Ezra if he's not towards the dark side yet. If he's still somehow in the light, that might be his tipping point. If he finds out Sabine died,
it could push him into helping Thrawn for sure. I think, yeah, because Thrawn doesn't lose, man, and if Sabine loses and dies, he could potentially see things a different way, like you said. I mean, maybe dark side, maybe I don't know. Oof, man, there's like. I don't know if she's gonna die. Like, I just feel like that's a massive leap for them to take, like to kill off Sabine, like for real. Not just like, oh, I'm stabbed and I'm gonna live, but
just to introduce the character in one show and then to kill him off. But that goes to like, all right, well, but we've already had years with Sabine and Rebels.
Yeah,
to the normal fans,
right?
Like they wouldn't have that. But before we move on, I do have a topic like I want to talk about after like Sabine stuff, and that's that like epilogue shot that we saw in Rebels that was in episode 2.
Was it the epilogue though? Because Ahsoka had no staff. She's not wearing her white robes. I mean, but everything else is exactly the same.
So I'm gonna say no, and I have a theory to why.
Okay.
So there are obviously because it's animation to live action, so there are some differences.
Mm-hmm.
But with how Sabine even looks a little bit, with how like her painting on her armor is different here. Her finger placement is also not like the even like the mural is a little bit off too. But I think that first epilogue shot was not at the end of the Battle of Yavin. Sorry, at the Battle of Endor. I think that was at the end of Rebels, like after Ezra went away. I think that was Ahsoka picking up Sabine to start her journey as a Jedi Padawan. Because even then, her T6 shuttle was also outdated then. It's different than it is now.
Yeah.
So I think it was mirroring. All right, Sabine's going back to being an apprentice again. I don't think it was the epilogue shot based off because yeah, we don't have the staff, we don't have the white robes, all the rubble too in that room is everywhere, and now we see in the room it's fully furnished, it's all fixed. So I think that's right after the Battle of Lothal is when the epilogue shot happens when she's going to go start her Jedi training.
Okay.
At least I think. And
no, I think that's a very possible. Yeah, but the white robe thing is just throwing me off though. Like
yeah,
that would seem like a thing that happens later, not like beforehand.
Yeah, that's the thing too. And like obviously it could just be some inconsistencies with transferring it to live action, but all the rubble that was in that room when they showed the mural in Rebels there's a ton of stuff all over the place.
Yeah,
like the building was looked broken, but now it's all polished.
Now
and
it's like a
there
museum.
are shots.
Yeah,
yeah, and now there's shots that are like shot for shot recreating that, but there's also some that are off. So that's what I think. Dave's like, hey, do you remember this? Like I think he's like giving a little nod to it and recreating it a little bit, but this is the second time that it's happening. Because even then too, Lothal, the entire background of Lothal City looked a little bit different, and like looks like some more structures have been built since then, as well. I know I could be wrong, but
no, I mean we might not see the white robes at all. I don't know, but here's my theory. It's a little different. So here's my theory. So let me go back to the beginning here because we basically got confirmation that this is taking place like right after Mando season 2. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Based on the crawl, like okay, she captured her. Now she's being transported. I don't think she's even seen Luke yet. And I think
maybe
there's a reason for that. I think she doesn't want to see Luke. I think she knows about Luke. I don't think she wants to see him because of Anakin. Go ahead. I know you got something. Go ahead.
maybe that ending that I talked about, like that theory, is when she first finds Luke in that temple on that planet that leads right into Book of Boba Fett.
I think it's possible.
Because she's there to talk to Luke about something. She's not just there to check on Grogu. She's
Right.
definitely there. She has something she has to talk to Luke about.
Yeah.
And I think that could be the continuation of it.
That's what I think too. I think she knows Luke exists. I think she hasn't seen Luke yet because she probably has some. Obviously, she's fighting like demons with Anakin, right?
Yes.
And she knows that there's another Skywalker now. I bet she can't bring herself to go see him. Now, once she has her like come to Jesus moment with Anakin, which is probably going to happen episode 5, he's probably going to say like, you need to go see my son or something like that. That would be amazing. And
he also knows too that Luke was the chosen one.
Right.
Luke fulfilled the prophecy.
Right. So I think Anakin is going to convince her to go see Luke, and I think that's what we're seeing in Book of Boba Fett. I think we're going to see Luke with Grogu at the end. Is what I think we're going to see.
I would love to see that. But I would love to see like it go right into where she's leaning up against the tree when Din wakes up, but seeing it from her angle where Din's laying there with R2.
Right. Oh, that'd be sick. That'd be such it just mash everything together in a really great way. I think
that would be like a Rogue, like how Rogue One goes right into A New Hope.
Right.
But then after like we see that in her talk with Din and everything, we could see after that like all right. So after everything, all that happened, when Din goes away, then she goes and talks to Luke like, hey, this was from the Mandalorian, but also we need your help.
Yeah, I think that's what we need to see. But the thing I was going to go back to here with the white robes is that I think it's very possible that this whole red forest planet battle doesn't go the way they want it to.
No.
Someone might die, but it's very possible that, let's say Sabine and Ahsoka both don't die, but maybe Ahsoka's badly injured or something along those lines, and that's when Anakin's Force Ghost comes to her. let's say Sabine goes back to Lothal, and then Ahsoka goes on this journey now to like come to her, acceptance of Anakin and everything like that. Maybe she goes and sees Luke, and when she finally comes back, maybe then she has the white robes. I don't know. I just like Dave Filoni said this whole like he made a parallel to like Gandalf the Grey to Gandalf the White.
Yeah,
which is
he even tweeted it out, like
yeah,
like Gandalf and Ahsoka hanging out together.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think she needs to go on some sort of spiritual journey to become the Ahsoka we see in the epilogue. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think it would have happened in the past. So,
My only thing with that is when the epilogue's happening, she's talking about like, all right, we're gonna go find Ezra.
Right, but if let's say the Red Forest thing doesn't work out for some reason, something bad happens, they lose whatever their way is. She goes on this journey, time jump. Okay, now we're gonna go find Ezra.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? I'm thinking there's a time jump, is what I'm saying, about halfway through the season.
I would be excited to see that. I would just be wondering, like, all right, well then, how much of Ezra are we actually gonna see?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I mean, I know, like, I wouldn't be upset, but if I saw like 10 minutes of Ezra in total, I'd be like, all right, like, I wish we had a little bit more.
Yeah.
Since they're talking about him from episode 1 and episode 2.
Yeah.
So for it to just be like a 10-minute thing, I feel like it would be like a little like, all right, well, I wish we had a little bit more. But at the same time,
right,
that could set up like a cliffhanger ending and to go into Air, too.
Yeah, we don't want a repeat of Gideon in season 3 of Mando, where we only see him for like 10 minutes. Yeah, I agree. We want to see him as much as possible. Something's odd about this 5th episode, man. It's like I think it's gonna be like Ahsoka's journey in the 5th episode. I don't think we're gonna see much of anything else. The time leaked for it, by the way, the runtime. And it's like
how long is it?
It's like 49 minutes. Let me see here. It's a decent length for sure.
I'm really curious to like see like, all right, like if for some reason the World Between Worlds does show up, how and where would that fit in episode wise, and like with the story?
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna see World Between Worlds. I think we're more likely to see like Force visions. How is she even going to get back in the World Between Worlds? It's like that's a whole thing. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. Ezra was the only one that was able to open it.
Right.
And Palpatine could, but only after Ezra did, because Palpatine couldn't even open it on his own. Ezra had to unlock it.
Unlocked it. Right.
Yeah. And that was on Lothal, but I thought it was destroyed afterwards. And also too, Ahsoka spent, presumably anyway, a lot of time in the World Between Worlds before she escaped back on Malachor.
Right.
And went back and everything. So that could be like a flashback where we see her in the World Between Worlds and see like the thing with Anakin and everything.
Yeah, that could be a flashback. You're right. I don't think she's gonna revisit it like in the current timeline.
No, I don't think there's any way for her to open it in the new timeline either.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Because that happened before Episode 4, and I feel like if now Palpatine knows that's there, no one's gonna be able to access it. Like, there's no way that's gonna be able to be a thing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's readily accessible to just anyone.
Right. Well, episode 5 is confirmed to be 49 minutes and 50 seconds. So just about 50 minutes, which is pretty solid time. That's Dave Filoni's episode. But we don't know what episode 4 is yet. We don't know the length of episode 4 yet, which is odd.
Is that with or without credits?
That's without credit. Or I'm sorry, that's with credits. Without would be 46 minutes and 10 seconds.
Okay.
So that is as of the day we're recording this. But by time we post this, the upcoming weekend, episode 4 time could be out. We don't know episode 4's time yet, so hoping that's another 45 minute or plus.
Yeah, like, I don't get me wrong. Like, the 30-minute episodes are great and all, but for live action, I wish we get closer to the hour mark with episodes.
Yeah,
only because we have so
Thrones,
few of them.
Man. Hour and 10 minutes, like every time.
Or like the Stranger Things season 4 volume 2 finale. That was 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, those are great.
Those last, like, obviously that's an entire movie in an episode, but
right.
I felt like with Stranger Things, that was done perfectly.
Oh yeah.
So
Stranger Things was awesome.
It was sick.
Yeah, that was really good, dude. That was like their Empire Strikes Back, like this last season.
Oh
where,
yeah,
like,
no, without a doubt. And
Yeah.
my wife and I hadn't watched any things before. I tried watching on my own, and I was like, I hate scary shit. So I was like, no. Like I got through like the first 10 minutes, of the first episode on my own. I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. But then her and I binge watched it 2 weeks before season 4 came out.
oh
Like
yeah,
binged it in the entire 2 weeks, and then instantly we took off work the day season 4 came out, watched all of it,
yeah.
and then waited for volume 2 and watched it all again.
God, so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, hopefully we have. I mean, I'm hoping the finale's long. You know, I'd like an over-hour finale would be incredible.
Yeah, I think a nice hour and a half would do me justice.
Yeah, that would be the hour and a half of Thrawn, Ezra, and Ahsoka going at it. That'd be awesome.
It would leave. It would have enough time to tie up any loose ends and to set up the future, without it being like, all right, time crunch. Like, get rid of this. Because it seemed like everything with Mando season 3 ended really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they quickly were like, all right, no, this is done. This is done. This is done. This is done.
Yeah, that was interesting. At the end of Mando season 3, there was like these like it was kind of like this montage of like, okay, this is over, this is done. Like he's gonna work for the New Republic. What's the town they always go to called? Why am I trying to blank on that?
Navarro.
Navarro, like okay, Navarro's got a new marshal, like blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like it was just like it just all happened really fast. So I agree. I want more of like a dragged out ending, or even maybe they don't even drag it out. Maybe it's just like a cliffhanger. I'd be cool with that too.
I guess the city we see on Navarro is literally just called Navarro City. So
Yeah, you know, Navarro
I mean,
City of Navarro. Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense. Gosh. All right. Well, we dude, see, episode 3 is gonna be short, but I know this is about to take off. I think there's a lot happening. They've set up like the story perfectly. Like we know what the goal is now. We know they're going to another galaxy. Someone is. So that's awesome.
in that dome, yeah, and in the dome too, they like in the World Between Worlds, like that portal to enter it. There was the wolves that were like circling around it.
Yeah.
And now with this one, it's the Purgle.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
So yeah, like this dome is very interesting, and I think with my breakdown, I'm editing it. This is gonna be the thing that I spend the most time on is this dome and trying to analyze everything to do with it.
Right.
Because there's so much in that short amount of time we got.
Yeah, it's definitely probably the most interesting part of like what's going on. Like this dome, this second galaxy, and traveling between it. That's what's interesting to me the most for sure.
Really quickly too, when I heard the prequel trilogy comlink sound,
Yeah.
that first episode, I instantly when I heard the sound, I'm like, stop it! Don't
you know
do it!
Dave, man, he like loves his prequel stuff. He had a lot of like odes to the prequels, even in the first episode. So
And the same thing with like the original trilogy too.
Yeah.
There were so many like little subtle nods and callbacks to it.
Yeah.
I was noticing through it and stuff too. And I almost probably almost got my channel terminated because I actually started showing the episode when I started my watch party. I was just so excited to start it.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah.
Yeah, you gotta watch that, man. The copyrights, those little.
I left the audio on for like a good minute too. So, like I was just like, oh my god, please don't take me down. Don't strike my channel, please.
All right. Well, no, man. I think we covered everything we could in these first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I think it was a good chat again, and let's just we'll look forward to episode 3 on Tuesday, and we're gonna chat again. We're gonna do this again and break it all down, and I think things are about to get going like pretty quickly here. So yeah. Any last words?
Tuesday can't come sooner.
That's right. And you'll be doing a live stream again, I'm assuming?
Yep, every single week.
Cool.
I'll try not to mess it up this time. But definitely, I'm very excited. I'm just a little bit worried about how short the runtime is.
Yeah.
What the story's gonna be. That's the only thing there. I'm kind of like, all right, well, I'm not gonna expect disappointment. I'm not gonna try and be disappointed. I'm trying to keep an open mind for it. I'm just kind of a little bit worried with the 31-minute runtime.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I think this might be one of the episodes that we kind of look back on and are just, like, okay, that just was needed to progress things forward, but it was short. And
yeah.
It's probably not going to have a whole lot of content. But, hey, who knows? Maybe we'll get a cool cameo. Maybe we'll see Rex or Jason, So I think,
or even like all three, like Rex, Jason, and Zeb.
you're right.
Because we haven't seen Zeb. We saw. He showed up in Mando.
Right, and we know he works for the New Republic, so I think that we're
Yeah.
gonna see some New Republic stuff, and hopefully we see Hera get back to the Ghost. I want to see that ship, man. I really
I want to see
really
Mon
wanna see
Mothma
it.
too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I wanna-
Genevieve O'Reilly. Yeah.
Yep, she is great as Mon Mothma, and she is Mon
She
Mothma
really is.
now. So yeah, love that.
Yeah.
But all right, we'll look forward to that. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to both our channels if you get a chance. I'm sure the links are going to be in the comments or the section below. But yeah, that's all we got. So thanks for watching, guys.